I would rather see a fighter cut 2 to 5 pounds. I think you're right, but that's not what's going to happen because we've seen it too many times.
Tell me why won't it happen?
Because it's no different than what you're getting with one and some of the fighters there that are cheating the system, because it comes down to that thought process of, I want to be the bigger, stronger fighter. And if I can put it to where I am now way bigger than my opponent, then I'm going to do better. And so they're going to try to come down, and they're going to end up losing too much weight right at the end of the fight, which now puts them in a position of danger based upon they are now fighting in a dehydrated state. They don't have enough time to rehydrate. You don't have enough time to rehydrate.
But that's you're not dehydrating enough though, John, to make yourself in a dehydrated state.
They're not going to be losing 2 to 5. They're going to be losing 10. They're going to be losing 11. Now, that's what they're going to be jumping down from.
Can you do that? Can you do that with weight checks? Once you, say you weigh yourself, this is where we had talked about 3 weeks when I was at that meeting. I said, look, you weigh the fighters. The promotion weighs the fighters. Doesn't give a shit about what the commission does. The promotion weighs the fighters and says, hey, what is your weight 3 weeks or 2 weeks out? That is before every fighter starts cutting. That's before they really, 2 weeks, 3 weeks is kind of that.
Three weeks before the show, you're at what the fighter
normally
weighs.
You're getting in your peak shape. Yep, you're getting in your peak shape. So that's kind of when your diet has already got taken effect. You're feeling probably your best about 2 weeks out, and you're like, okay, I'm ripped, I'm shredded, I'm ready to go. I'm sure it's still a little heavy, but you know what? I feel really good right now. I'm eating what I want still. That is where the fighter should be fighting at. Now, when you show up the week of, you shouldn't be allowed to weigh any more than 5 pounds below that. So that's where I think that's where it comes in. Whatever your weight is at that point 2 weeks before, you need to fight within a 5 pound range, either higher or lower of that weight class.
See, what the real problem is what is the commission concerned with? Well, the commission is concerned with the health of the fighter along with the brain of the fighter. And I know that sounds weird, but we're talking about when you dehydrate, and you know this is true, and this is why you're saying it about TJ Dillashaw. You dehydrate yourself, you get hit, you get concussed much easier, much easier. So when you look at wrestling or jiu-jitsu, okay, and you hear people in jiu-jitsu all the time saying, oh yeah, I've got a fight next week. That's not a fight, guys. No. That's a grappling match. There's a difference in a fight. Okay, so the thing about jiu-jitsu or wrestling, and look at, they're both difficult. I'm not trying to take anything away from either one. Wrestling is ungodly hard at times. It's a grind, but you don't normally, generally, usually have any head trauma. Can you? Sure, a guy can get thrown and land on the head or anything like that. But
it's hands down the most underappreciated sport in the game. Hands down, the most underappreciated sport is wrestling. The work that they put in, the grind they put in, all that stuff in the world. It's most unappreciated. No doubt about it. But you look at any of them, you can have it to where the person, hey, you want to be dehydrated. You're just going to get really tired. Go ahead. But you can have it in those because you're going to gas out. You're going to have problems and you're going to end up losing, but you're not going to end up with brain damage. And that's where the commissions are now in this position. They're trying to balance. They're trying to say, all right, look, we know what guys are doing. We know what girls are doing. We see this, and we see it, and we especially see it in a lot of these amateur programs. These people knowing that they're going to get a same-day weigh-in, and like you said, they're amateurs at it, but same-day weigh-in, and they're coming in trying to lose 10, 11, 12 pounds on that day and then perform. And, most of them they're finding out it's a bad idea, but you will get professionals doing the same thing. Not all, but you're going to get a lot of them. And it's not only they're dehydrated. It's the added thing of now we've put them in a position where we're talking about brain trauma. If you're, the reason why it used to be, and I said this to you before, that used to be that when you fought Nate Diaz, there was one weigh-in. It was between 3 to 5 p.m., usually, depending on if you were the first fight of the night or the last one, it was going to be a half-hour difference. But everyone was lined up, and they rolled everybody out, and you stepped on the scale, and you either made weight or you didn't, and then you had to maybe possibly go back.
we had that, and it was a system where you figured that you had somewhere around 24 to up to maybe 30 hours at the max to rehydrate from that before you were actually competing. And so we went and looked and said, all right, let's try to do it where we give the fighter more time to rehydrate. They had to make the weight, but we'll give them more time to rehydrate, because if the more they're able to rehydrate, the better it is for their health and safety and against brain injury. That's why we came up with the early weigh-in and did the ceremonial weigh-ins later on. And you take a look at them and you go, all right, now they're being weighed in somewhere at 9 o'clock in the morning. So they get a full 24 hours to 9 o'clock, and then they're not competing until, we'll say, 9 o'clock. So that's another 12 hours. So we're looking at, 36 hours of time possibly. That's one of the things that I think happened with Islam in his fight against Volkanovski. Josh, he did that early morning weigh-in. They got at 9, but he was fighting by 12 the next day. He ended up in a position where he lost 9 to 10 hours of rehydration time, something that his body has gotten used to fighting here in the States in the normal time periods that fights take place. People have to figure, in Perth, Australia, that show started somewhere around 7 a.m. in the morning, 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning. And then the fights went on. He was obviously the last fight, but he lost close to 10 hours of rehydration time. And you can see it in the photos. Dave put up those photos real quick. Just take a look at the way his body looks between his fight against Oliveira and his fight with Volkanovski. You can see there's a difference in the composition of his body.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate for the fan at home. They're like, well, why should he be able to have more time, though, to fight somebody at a smaller size and be able to cheat and put more weight on? So this is my argument with the commission. Look, I'm on Islam's side. Look, if you're going to make the rules and you decide to go from being the featherweight and go up to the lightweight division, you're going to have to deal with the person who's the bigger fighter. And Volkanovski knew that. But in this situation, he was, I guess you could say, he was robbed of his ability to fully fill back out the way he has been able to, whether it was in Dubai, whether it was in Vegas, wherever he fought before. They have been doing that for the longest period of time.
Yeah.
But John, don't you, the way that weight cutting situation, whether it's Andy Foster, whether it's the Nevada State Athletic Commission or anyone allowing the earlier weigh-in, I get why they're doing it, is to get rid of the brain damage, because as we saw with TJ Dillashaw, it wasn't long enough. His ability to put the weight back on, develop the liquid back in his brain, and he had cut so much, you could see right away he wasn't the same fighter.